Welcome to today's Career Expo preparation workshop. I'm thrilled. We're all thrilled to have Vijeyta with us today, who's a seasoned technology product leader and career coach with deep experience in both cybersecurity and AI. So I was very excited that Vijeyta was open to doing this, and we're hoping that she does more of these. But Vijeyta has led and scaled teams at some of the world's top companies: Microsoft, PayPal, Hippo, Upwork. And now she brings that expertise to helping students, you here today, and professionals like you succeed in today's competitive job market. And it is competitive. She's worked closely with both students and tech professionals land roles in cybersecurity. She's known for practical, actionable strategies that get results. Today, she'll share insights on how to stand out to employers, network effectively, and even use AI to your advantage for you to prepare for this upcoming career Cyber Expo. So please join me in a warm welcome to Vijeyta, who I can, over the last year or so call a friend. So I think you all are all in for a treat. So thank you, Vijeyta.
Ed, thank you so much for your kind words. I'm really excited to be here. I am slightly under the weather, so my voice is a little hoarse, but hopefully we'll get through this. So we covered the introductions first. Really, the workshop today is in 3 phases: how to prepare for the Career Expo. The second is what do you do on the day of the Career Expo. Third is after the Career Expo, how do you continue your job search? And it will address some of the questions you'll asked regarding resume, how to network with folks. And finally, we'll talk about some emerging careers at the intersection of AI and cybersecurity. So Ed was very generous with his introduction. I think a couple things I would just add is I have a ton of product and go-to-market experience. I've built large teams and interviewed over 300 people in the capacity of a hiring manager, right from folks for their internships and their first jobs up until seasoned executives. I myself have given like over 50 interviews over my career, and I've prepared over hundreds of tech professionals and students with interviews and interviewing. And I've built teams, that have where we've hired over 30 people across product, go-to-market, and design. If you want to learn a bit more about me, I've also shared my profile behind this QR code. So let's get started. Career Expo is next week on 25th. And really, the way to think about any event where you have the opportunity to meet a lot of potential employers, you got to follow a 3-step process. The first is research the list of companies that are attending. Second is prepare your resume. And third is practice your elevator pitch. So for the upcoming career fair, you get the list of companies from the organizers, and I pulled like a few that I saw on the list that include Walgreens, Red Hat, Liberty Health, Cape Fear Valley, but there are many more. And really, if I was you, what I would do is I would understand where are these employers based, what are the open roles that they have, the total employee count, read up as much as you can about the company products and its business, and also research the company representative that would be attending the Career Expo. I'm going to get even more detail in the next couple slides about what is it that you're looking for researching, and what are the tools you can use to perform your research even more effectively. And what you really want to do over here is, like, if there are over 20 companies attending and you only have a couple hours at the Career Expo, you're probably not going to be able to talk to each of them. So come up with a categorization of priority 1 and priority 2. Priority 1 will be the companies which are high on your list, and you absolutely must have a conversation with them on the day of the Career Expo. And priority 2 would be all the other employers that you should have conversations with after you have completed your P1 conversations. One other thing I should have mentioned is as we are going through this, if y'all have questions, please put them into the chat. Joe and Ed are going to keep me honest here and, bring up these questions as we go along. And we will, if we have time towards the end, I will also be taking these questions live. So don't hesitate. As questions are coming, just put them in the chat. So what does a company research really entail? Ideally, you want to be in a position where you are researching the company more than the representative that is attending that expo or any other future career event that you may be attending. And specifically on the research, you want to go look at their customers and products, the business model of the company, their most recent financials, any challenges, and from your perspective, what could be some ideas for the next stage for these companies? I know this seems like a lot, but once you actually start developing this muscle, even if you cover like 3 or 4 points here, that's good enough. You don't need to have an idea for every organization, right? But just get into this habit of understanding the business of the company. And some resources that I have typically used and I have recommended to others to use is you got to really think about, is this a public company or is this a private company? If this is a publicly traded company, there's significantly more information available to you in the form of financial statements and investor day presentation, earnings reports that are available online. And for public and private companies would not have all this financial information available online, but you can still understand what they do through any blog post, any launches that were publicly announced, news, podcasts by executives or leaders within the company. And specifically for this, I highly recommend either using the GPT Deep Research agent or Perplexity. um, I'm actually gonna pull the prompt real quick that I have it set up over here where a sample prompt will be, hey, this is a company called Auditoria.ai. It's a private company. I would like to research its products, customers, competitors, and go-to-market motion. Describe the persona they are selling to and their key differentiators. What are the downsides of selling to this market? What are some opportunities to expand their serviceable, addressable market? And so on and so forth. Um, so this would then return a PDF report, which you can use. Can you give me a show of hands? How many of you have used Deep Research or Perplexity for any research? Okay, great. And just put a 1 in the chat if you've done that. Great. I see responses coming in. Yeah, so the general idea is even if you set up these agents and they do the research for you at a later point in time, you can then go back and read that material and absorb it at a time convenient to you. Um, any questions on approaching research for a private company?
What websites do you recommend for being good to kind of research information on privately traded companies? Are there any like go-to sites that you typically use?
Yes, so great question, Jesse. So I would say there are two resources that I go to each time. One is Crunchbase, especially if these are VC-backed companies. Crunchbase has a lot of rich information about these companies. In the free plan, I think they have a limited number of searches. And in the paid plan, they offer significantly more information. The second one is uh, uh, there is another resource for companies that are PE backed and VC backed. For some reason, I'm completely blanking out on the name, but I'm going to look it up, and provide it to you at the end of the session. Yeah, and those are my go-to resources. And it really gives me a good sense on, how much capital they have raised, what is the history in terms of who founded the company, what year it was founded, and what is the historical trajectory of the company for its products and employee count.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah. The second piece of this is really researching the interviewer or the representative of the company at the Career Expo. And this is not always available, but it is available in some instances. But I would try to get that, because what you can then do is, in advance of attending an event, you can research the company representative, both in terms of any prior companies and roles they held, their education, patents, publications, press, podcasts, their interests, hobbies, their families. I know this almost feels like stalking, but that's not what you're doing. You're really trying to find some commonality where you can build a rapport. And the tools of the trade for this would be, you use LinkedIn, social media, any podcasts that they may have given an interview on, press, or use any common connections that you may have. Do I see a comment from you?
I was just saying open source intelligence, not stalking.
Yes. Yes. Step two is, once you've identified your list of companies and you've researched them, now you actually have a good sense on where these companies are growing, right? And it's your turn to now prepare your resume. I would say the way to approach the resume writing process is, you need to have a base resume, which you then personalize for each employer that you're seeking to get employed by. Now, your base resume should have an objective, any internships or relevant real world experience, technical skills, any awards and leadership, and your education. Make your resume easy to read. Use AI to grammar and spell check, as well as there are a ton of tools that help with formatting of your resume. And bonus points, if you can tailor this resume to each application that you make. Again, I know this is tedious and it's a little bit of a grunt work, but trust me, once you get the process down, it becomes easy. And it's hard like the first few times, but you'll identify like samples or structures that you can reuse, and you can save those resumes to use for those specific types of roles. There's a question in the chat. What if you don't have any experience? Can you use your classes from school as experience? Absolutely. You can use your classes from school as experience. What I have done in the past, even when I was looking for my first job in the market, is I actually pulled courses from my degree that would be interesting to employers that were hiring for technical talent. So, as an example, 18 years ago, web applications were still new, and I'd taken a class on web application. So I actually put down what we built in that course as relevant coursework. So now this is a quick resume review of a resume. And what I'm going to show you here, right, is what are things that are working well for this candidate and what are things they can actually improve. So for Sasha, she's looking to get a job as a digital marketing analyst, which is actually good. She specified that at the top, so it's clear. However, her objective is wordy. Um, she should be more specific that I'm looking to secure a full-time position as a marketing analyst. You'll see over here, there is a lot of words around leading big teams and doing paid advertising and SEO, but I would recommend keep your objective short and specific and get to the point, right, of the type of role that you're seeking. And if you've not identified the specific role that you're looking to get hired into, you could also keep it as looking to get a full-time position in the cybersecurity department. That's fine too. But I just think that gives more focus to the person reading the resume. Hey, how do I think about the resume that I'm going to read going forward? You'll see that in this instance, Sasha has put together real world internship experience along with projects that were not internships, but probably just either passion projects or projects where they could skill up and learn how things work in the real world, which is amazing. However, there was some feedback around specific projects here. So for local SEO boost, although they helped local boutiques grow their online presence, boosting organic search traffic by an average of 60%, it doesn't specify how. Like, was that through blog articles? Was that through Google search keywords? Those details are important because that gives the person reading the resume, your potential employer, a sense onto what you have accomplished so far. So if you're sharing results, do share details about how you accomplish those results. And this is important at this stage in your career because many of you may not have real world experience just yet. As you grow in your careers, you wouldn't need to specify that level of detail, but at this stage you do. I think another question. Is there another question from the audience?
No,
Okay.
someone had to step out.
Okay. And a couple other things. I really like the fact that Sasha has mentioned skills here, but it doesn't go deeper than that. Like clearly, Sasha has experience on things which are the current trend, but given that everyone is looking at how AI can grow their businesses, it would have been great if Sasha could also mention any AI specific trends or skills that they are learning or they have used, such as answer engine optimization, which is AEO, which is a very specific AI skill for the type of role they are seeking. And this truly differentiates the candidate because we are still so early in the AI innings that employers are leaning heavily towards candidates that know these AI skills because they are trying internally to skill up their organizations. Lastly, for the projects here, paid ads for animal shelter, uh, although it's a great example, it doesn't actually increase believability because there is no name for the local animal shelter that Sasha worked at. So if this was my resume, I would actually put the name of the animal shelter. It just helps make a stronger case for your candidacy. Any question?
There is one question, Vijeyta. Is there a page limit that you would want to shoot for?
That's such a great question. At this stage, I would recommend keep it to one page. And really try to illustrate examples that are relevant for the role that you're seeking. As an example, like someone was seeking a role in tech companies, and they actually mentioned about a dog walking gig that they had done in high school. That's not relevant. Yeah, I see some nods here. So, yeah. So don't exceed max 2 sides, but at this stage, since all of you are early in your career, keep it to one page. Get them focused and just be super focused and tight about what you're going to put there. I know there was a question in the audience about resumes. Feel free to put the question in the chat if you're seeking additional details on how to approach writing up your resume.
Vijayta, I had a question about the
Mhm.
resume. So I have 10 years plus of work experience to shift through.
Mhm.
So my current job right now is a firefighter. So I would like to try to fit that into the resume somehow, just because I think it would help me stand out. Is there any way I could go about it, or kind of just leave that off it and then focus on what we were discussing?
I do think, Phil, that's a great point. Like in your instance, you're looking to make a pivot. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And I do think you're right. You're spot on. You've done something, you've had a great career so far as a firefighter, and you want to talk about it, right? It's something you have to be incredibly proud about, and it's very hard to do what you did. So I would certainly talk about it. I would also try to find stories maybe on leadership, and if there were any tech specific projects that you've done to give the person on the other side more confidence about taking a bet on you.
Okay.
So your instinct is right. Absolutely, you should talk about it. But also try to find other projects, right, that would demonstrate your interest in this next chapter that you're looking to pursue.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah. I'm gonna go back to sharing my screen. If there are any more questions, let me just take a quick look at the chat. Yeah, okay. No more questions. Okay. The final step before attending the Career Expo is practice your elevator pitch. Could people write in the chat how many of you already have an elevator pitch that you've been using? Just put a 1 in there. And no worries if you don't, because this is exactly why we have this chat today. Nice. I see some ones. You need an updated one. Yes, that's great. So when you're thinking about putting together your elevator pitch, make it a story. People remember stories. They don't remember numbers and buzzwords. And tailor your elevator pitch to the job or the company that you would be pitching to. So as an example, if I'm pitching to Walgreens, my pitch would be different than what I would pitch to Cape Fear Valley. And again, I would personalize the pitch for the type of role that I would be applying to at these organizations. And you're going to see a sample about this in the next slide. But if you're thinking about, hey, what are some things I should cover? You should cover who you are, what is special about you, any prior work at a high level. If you have examples, even relevant coursework, that's fine. Use that, and a summary. So just to give you a sense on how I've approached elevator pitches, and literally these are examples that I have used at events when I was seeking roles. So I attended an event that was organized by a venture capitalist in Silicon Valley. They had a large number of leaders attending that event. I had researched the list of attendees for that event, and I knew that company was hiring for a mobile AI product leader. And so this is the pitch I approached them with. Hey, I'm Vijeyta. I grew up in India and moved to the US to pursue my master's at Carnegie Mellon. I've led several products and teams from my time at PayPal and Guidewire Software. I ran the mobile team at PayPal, where we scaled and launched it in over 200 markets across the globe and made it a key source of acquisition and activation, bringing in 2.5 million new accounts annually. I most recently launched a 0 to 1 generative AI sales tech product that offer insights to sales leaders at my startup Vectro. I'm now looking for my next opportunity. So why is this punchy? Because it covers like 3 things that this person really cares to listen about for any candidate for this role. I have mobile experience, I have AI experience, and I also worked at big tech companies. I know this is easy for, this is easy for me to put together because I had the relevant experience, right? But you all can come up with stories and even relevant coursework stories, right? To help you think through what your elevator pitch should be. So as an example, If a company is looking to hire um, in the sales department, right? But not in the technical department, I would actually lead with a story of where I have done sales, right? And not necessarily where I have done deep tech work to make this work. So the second story over here is that like I was pitching to a COO of a 100-person cybersecurity company that was looking to expand their go-to-market team. And in this introduction, I actually talk about I started my career building cybersecurity products at Microsoft in the pre-iPhone era, and then went on to lead product and GTM teams in fintech and insurtech. I currently lead go-to-market at a YC-backed company on security risk assessments. We are channel only with an events-driven top of the funnel. My team is now expanding into new acquisition channels, and we are seeing early traction with Facebook ads and AI agents. So again, I did not talk about any of my product stuff because they were hiring for the go-to-market roles. Questions before we move on?
What are there any key points that you would focus in on, since all of our experience is different and our schooling is different, that like we all could focus on for the elevator pitch? Or
Right.
is everyone going to be different in that aspect?
So, I think like think about a story about yourself, like, and what could be really unique about you is, where you grew up. And specifically for the upcoming Career Expo, since it's on cybersecurity, um, think about a coursework that could be really relevant about cyber that this employer may want to hear about, or a project that you did. And you could also talk about how you're really learning about the intersection of AI and cybersecurity, and you're seeking to build off that base for your next opportunity. Is that helpful?
No, that definitely is. I was just looking for a way to get started, and between
Like a
that and
script,
then reading through your two pitches you have here, yeah, it definitely cleared it up.
like a script. You're thinking like, what's a starter script for you?
Exactly. Since I
Okay.
yeah, basically.
Yeah, you know what I could do is I could send something over that perhaps you could use as inspiration to come up with something.
Okay. And worse, I mean, I can always use like Microsoft Copilot or something like that. Be like, hey, these are my skills in schooling. Like, what is the best elevator pitch for so and so company as well? Or
Ye-
no?
Yeah, you should. You should absolutely do that because you will see that using these co-pilots, you do get new ideas, but use your judgment there, right?
Okay.
And you also have to read the room a little bit. When you're giving this elevator pitch, you'll know very quickly, is this landing or not? You know what I mean?
Right.
And then you should be ready to change it if there's something else that's catching their attention. And honestly, the best way to do this is if you already know what jobs they are seeking or what jobs are open, then you can tailor it. Does that make sense? So, like, for
Yes.
example, Red Hat, too vast, right? But if you knew that they are recruiting someone on their SOC team, you can tailor it. You know what I mean?
Yes. Okay. You got to kind of like, you can have the elevator pitch ready, but you got to feel it out and ready to jump into something that is catching their interest more.
Exactly. And it's critical that you practice this. I have actually failed several early interviews in my career because I wasn't prepared with my elevator pitch, and literally the employer asked me on the phone, hey, tell me about your elevator pitch, and I was struggling. So the more you practice, it will just come more naturally to you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So from an employer's lens, really there are three considerations when you present yourself to them in a career expo. The first is, why should I make a bet on you? Are you truly motivated to do this work? Are you coachable, and can we get along with you? Um, and for every role or every person you speak to, you need to address these points, either using examples or skills or your attitude to back those points. In the interest of time, I'm actually going to move forward. So on the day of the Career Expo, 3 things that you got to do. One is map the floor, pitch to your target list, and send a follow-up. What do I mean by mapping the floor? Like, either you may have like a map of various employers and where they are seated. If not, enter the Career Expo room, take a bird's eye view, and really determine the location and traffic to your P1 companies. And be prepared that there will be several other students that would have the same set of P1 companies. So there can be long queues. So manage your time well. You should plan to pitch to your P1 companies during the first half of the session. And think of the pitching process like a sales process. Uh, you would have to do this over and over again at each employer booth. And it's hard, but that's what it takes to get the first role. And remember, you need to be memorable. Enthusiasm and curiosity goes a long way at the stage y'all are at. And you should aim to finish up all your companies in the second half of the day. And you really never know where any of these conversations would lead to, but they can open doors. The pitch that I shared with you for the big tech company, the person I pitched to was not the hiring manager, but they really enjoyed the conversation with me at the event so much that they made an introduction, and then I had a full loop with the hiring manager and their team. Um, Lastly, is after you've made the pitch, you've established a rapport with the company representative. Thank them for their time. Thank them for taking the time to speak with you and get to know you. Connect with them on LinkedIn. Try to get their email or business card so you can send them a follow-up. And the structure of your follow-up message should be a thank you, any unique insight if you have one to share with them, a link to your proof of work, and closing. So on the next slide, I have an example, and this is exactly what I used for one of the interviews, which was then used by one of my coaches also. Hey Mason, it was great connecting with you yesterday. I appreciate a conversation on the transformation that you're running at Aura Ring. I wanted to share a couple of follow-ups from our discussion. I talk about the first one over here on Monday.com is a unique insight that we had discussed during a conversation. So I'm just sharing that example with them. And then the second is I shared a proof of work, like, hey, I designed the PayPal mobile application onboarding experience. Here is a critique of my team's work. And I look forward to hearing from you on the next steps. And keep in mind that every conversation you have at the expo may not result into an immediate next conversation, but try to keep in touch with them. So if they didn't have an opportunity open right away, it's fine. Still thank them and tell them, I look forward to staying connected with you. After the Career Expo, it's not over. Like, y'all know this, that it's a hard job market, but really the process is everything. And what you see on the left is a picture of MS Dhoni. He's a very famous cricketer in India, and I think all of you know who's on the right. It's Kobe Bryant. That you gotta love the grind, love the process, and don't worry about the results. The results will come, but you gotta put in the hard work to make things work. And really, a few things for you all to consider. As a part of seeking your next opportunity, update your LinkedIn profile. If you can do this even in advance of the career fair, that's fantastic. And things that I would recommend is update your profile image, make sure it's got good lighting, and it's a recent picture of you that you're putting up there. Since all of you are still early in your career, or if some of you may be pivoting, put the open to work badge enabled on LinkedIn. I think it's totally fine to do this at this stage. My response would have been different if this was someone with over 15, 20 years of experience. Update your tagline to reflect the job that you are going after. So if you are looking to become a threat hunter, if you are looking to become a security engineer, put that in your tagline. Use the introduction on LinkedIn to convey your story. A lot of recruiting and hiring managers look at introductions to get a quick overview of the candidate, who you are, what do you value, a quick summary of the impact you've made. And that impact can actually cover your interest as well as some coursework. And again, relevant interest, right? So if you have been looking at how to make AI products secure, add that in over here. Or if there is a link to your GitHub repo or any papers that you may have written as a part of your coursework, provide those links here. Describe relevant work experience, especially if there are known brands, link them into the description. Any references you may have, and these references need not always be directly tied to the industry you're going after, right? So if you were, in this example, Phil's case, he was a firefighter in the past, he could get a reference from folks he's worked with in the past, and that really helps elevate your profile. And keep in mind that LinkedIn does have an algorithm that prioritizes users that have activity on LinkedIn higher than the ones that don't. So try to post relevant content on an ongoing basis, comment and like content related to the target companies that you're going after. And I know, like we've covered this, networking at events, but don't be limited by the events that you currently know of. Expand and identify more events where you can connect with potential employers. I'm quite blessed that I'm in the Valley, where a lot of tech companies organize happy hours. There are a lot of communities that organize events to just bring various companies together. Identify events like those in the area that you are currently living in. And if they are not close to you, just identify those conferences and go fly there. And this would give you the opportunity to at least identify the companies in your target list, as well as show up and pitch to them. Research the attendees that would be attending these events. We've covered this. Be curious, be memorable. There was a question earlier about the elevator pitch. So we'll be sharing this prompt on how you can use Copilot, and some prompts that have worked for students and us to put this together. So I've also shared over here a list of events that are relevant for y'all to consider. Founders You Should Know is an event based in SF and NYC. These are just suggestions, right? But it does target super early stage startups. And then there are industry specific conferences that I think many of you are aware of, RSA or Black Hat. Yeah, and Peter just mentioned requesting to volunteer at these events or conferences is a great way to show initiative and work ethic. Absolutely. Then we see organized events. So some of the venture capitalists also organize events where they bring in their portfolio companies to recruit talent. You should look at the open recs in advance to see if that's relevant for you. And another great source for jobs is online communities and Slack channels. Since all of you are focused on cyber careers, go find some of these online communities. One of those that I know is Tejas Cyber Network. Some of these communities do have a paid plan for students, which is lower than the plan for a professional. So consider these options as you're looking for your next opportunity. I've also shared a list of resources for creating your target list of companies. Free resources are on the left. Great AI and security companies on the Forbes list. Also for smaller companies that are just getting started, Ben Lang's Next Play newsletter is a great resource. And if you want to go super early, I would also scan the boards of Y Combinator, Pair VC, Mint VC, and South Park Commons. These are all VCs that actually back early stage companies. And on the right, you see some paid resources for identifying private companies. There was a question earlier, what are the resources I use? So these are the two, Crunchbase and PitchBook, to go really deep. PitchBook is also a great resource, but it's expensive. But even a free version should get you further ahead. And if you're really looking for a breakout list of companies, there are lists that are published by a few folks. The one I liked most recently was from Akash Gupta. This is linked in the deck as well. So there was a question earlier about how should I go about networking for some of these roles? I've actually have a full 1 hour talk just on that, but to give you a quick overview into how should you approach it is typically if the organization is with over 500 employees, you really need to get the attention of the hiring manager and the recruiting lead for that role. And if the company has less than 500 employees, typically it's the head of the function, can be the hiring manager, head of talent. And the best way, ideally, is to get an introduction into the company, especially in the market that we are in. But even cold outreach does work. But just be thoughtful about how much cold outreach you want to do and to whom, because you want to save your energy for the companies that you also have a great chance at landing a role at. And that really needs to be your focus right now, I would say, getting as much real world experience as you can. As you go higher up in your career, executive recruiters and investors also become a great source of helping you find new opportunities. And I would say on the topic of networking, I've worked with a bunch of kids and I see hesitation in asking for help or asking for an introduction. Career is a team sport. It really takes a village to build a successful career, just the way it takes a village to raise a family. So don't hesitate. Ask for help and pay it forward if someone helps you. That's really important. So quickly, the framework that, when you think about networking, this is maybe an easy way to think about how you approach networking, right? So over here, the y-axis represents if a company has any job opening that's relevant to you. And on the x-axis, it's essentially your strength to a connection at that company. So if I was going to look at the top right corner here, this represents a company that has a rec open where I'm a good fit and I know someone at the company. So in this instance, I would actually ask them to refer me to that role. And if the company doesn't have an immediate opening, but you have a connection there, just let your connection know that you're looking. And if you see any job openings at that company in the future, to keep you top of mind. And similarly, there would be organizations where they have a job rec open, but either you don't know someone there. If you don't know someone there, do a cold outreach. And if you know someone there, but not very well, ask them for consideration. Here is an example of an outreach. Two examples here, one which is good and the one which is not very appealing. So on the right, let's start with what's less appealing. I'd love to connect and share more about my background. Either way, I'd appreciate your time and hope to connect. So there was nothing in this message that caught the attention of the hiring manager. However, if you now look on the left, the cold outreach that was done by this candidate actually talks about, hey, I know you're really busy, drowning in a million messages, but I really appreciate you taking the time to look at this. Here is some relevant company experience, my unique skills, and what sets me apart. Any impact in a previous role. And thank you so much for taking the time to read my message. So those were sample rare. I think there are some questions. Let me see what's in the chat.
There was a question about resume. that Xavier asked earlier.
Yeah, so the question was, I'm currently in the process of getting my junior penetration tester cert along with SOC 1 and 2. Would this be valuable? Absolutely, especially if you are going after a career in cyber. Put that in there. And if you are asking someone to introduce you to an organization, just offer value, like, and ask them, hey, how can I be of assistance to you? Last slide before we go into Q&A. With every new technology platform, there are new job opportunities and new roles that emerge in technology. I pulled together 3 roles that I'm seeing at various companies here. One is a prompt injection specialist. As more and more products get a generative AI component to them, it's becoming really important that these products are secure by ensuring that there is no malicious code that gets inserted into these prompts. And that's what a prompt injection specialist does. They ensure there are guardrails that work and testing is robust. There's also an emergence of the AI safety engineer. This is really more of a research and engineering overlap role, working on making LLM behavior aligned with human values, reducing undesirable outputs, dealing with hallucinations, misinformation, and implementing guardrails. And as I think a lot of you on this call already know, that in the last 5 to 10 years, compliance, privacy, and risk management has exploded. And that applies even to LLMs very recently, that companies want to ensure that the systems that use these LLMs comply with internal policies, any external and emerging regulations on data privacy, usage, and bias. They follow ethical guidelines, and there is strong governance for these AI systems. So the way I would approach this is, when these new roles get created, there is always more demand than the supply. So try to find a way in how you can make yourself relevant for these new emerging roles, because you already have a background in cybersecurity, which is hard. And there is always a skill gap in the market for cyber talent. Finally, to win in this market, you need hustle and serious prep powered by AI and persistence. I know it's a really, really challenging market, but persistence will pay off. And that's when you have climbed that peak. If you have any questions, this would be a great time to ask those. You can also follow me on LinkedIn. My buddy Gaurav and I, we also offer coaching and interview prep and resume reviews. You can find us online, and we also teach on Maven on the topics we covered today and much more.